And walking into a courtroom expecting tears, regrets, and maybe even a last-ditch apology. Instead, you get a smirk. That's exactly what happened when Brooke Bailey, once the glam queen of reality TV and self-proclaimed boss mom of basketball wives, stood in front of a judge facing life in prison. No dramatics, no breakdown, just a look that said she still thought she was running the show. But what went down wasn't just a fall from grace, it was a full-blown demolition of a brand built on filters, fake tears, and something far darker: the tragic of her own daughter, Kayla Bailey. Now, this story didn't start in court. It started with a crash, a single-car accident on an icy road that claimed 25-year-old Kayla's life. At first, it seemed like a tragedy. Brooke posted emotional tributes, lit candles, and dropped tearful Instagram videos saying things like, "She was my heart." The internet mourned with her. Fans, celebrities, influencers, everyone offered support. But then, as always, the internet started looking closer. And what they found didn't just raise eyebrows, it flipped the whole narrative upside down. First came the questions about the car. Kayla's luxury SUV had expired tags, no insurance record, and was registered to a sketchy LLC tied to Brooke's business filings. Then someone noticed something wild. On Brooke's tribute post, in the window reflection, you could see her wrist. Not shaking, not trembling, just calm, rocking her signature diamond cuff and what looked like a smirk. Yeah, a smirk. From there, the dominoes started falling hard and fast. A former assistant, let's call her Mia, stepped forward, anonymously at first. She said her real job wasn't scheduling events or managing PR, it was scrubbing the internet, deleting messages, faking timestamps, drafting grieving mother emails before the crash even happened. She claimed Brooke once told her, "If something goes wrong, I want clicks, not cries." Sounds like a line from a villain in a movie, right? Except this wasn't a script. This was real life unfolding in real time. And Brooke moved fast. Within 3 days of the accident, her team launched something called Sharosa, a supposed grief empowerment platform for mothers who've lost children. The website had donation buttons, emotional backstories, even a speaker series, but none of it added up. The donations couldn't be tracked, the events never actually happened, and the testimonials? All fake. Meanwhile, Kayla's friends leaked DMs showing Brooke pressuring her daughter to keep making content. "Pain is branding," one message read. You read that right. It's not pain is healing, pain is branding. And then came the big one. Investigators pulled Brooke's financial records and digital history. Turns out she'd received a recall notice for Kayla's SUV weeks before the crash, a known brake defect, and she ignored it. Signed the paperwork, didn't take the car off the road. Why? Because optics matter, she allegedly told someone. Optics? Her daughter voiced concerns. Friends said she was scared to speak out. One told investigators she said her mom would cut her off, that she runs everything. The crash wasn't just tragic anymore, it looked premeditated, or at the very least, strategically managed. Investigators found a Dropbox folder on Brooke's devices titled Crisis Plan 1. Inside were pre-written posts, influencer response templates, even email drafts titled Redemption Arc if Kayla passes. Let that sit with you. She had a redemption arc planned before her daughter's funeral. And just when it seemed like the story couldn't get darker, it did, because while the public saw a mourning mother, the court saw something else, a blueprint, a system, a brand launch built on loss. And that's when the mask began to slip. But boss, what happened next? That's when everything went nuclear. Courtroom silence is rare, but when prosecutors hit play on a recovered audio file, even the buzzing lights above seemed to hush. Brooke's voice echoed through the speakers, calm, practiced, and horrifying. If she wants out, that's fine, but she needs to understand being my daughter isn't a birthright. It's a role. No one blinked, no one breathed. This wasn't grief. This was control. The file had come from a flash drive, hand-delivered by none other than Mia, the same assistant who'd once kept Brooke's digital empire spotless. She marched into the courtroom, walked straight to the prosecution, and simply said, "I'm done." That flash drive? It was the nuke. Over 40 voice recordings, hundreds of emails, brand planning docs, and a folder labeled Kayla Optics Prep. The message couldn't be clearer. Kayla wasn't being remembered, she was being marketed. One clip captured Brooke rehearsing how to cry for interviews, looping sad piano music in the background while faking voice cracks in front of her phone. Another showed her brainstorming a Grief to Grace product line, listing phrases like, "she's watching over me," and "turn pain into purpose" as potential taglines. And if that wasn't disturbing enough, there was an entire PR strategy deck titled Grief Monetization Funnel. Yeah, that's not a phrase you ever want to hear in real life. The emails were worse. Unchained, with her PR agency, Image Savvy Collective, outlined tiered media packages for sympathy interviews, $15, 0 cents K per appearance. Another discussed booking a faith-based grief retreat that doubled as a brand activation. One planner suggested a podcast. Another pitched a memoir. The title? From Grief to Grace, The Brooke Bailey Experience. Except there was no grace left in the room. As the prosecutors kept dropping receipts, the courtroom turned. Even Brooke's expression shifted, from confident to cornered. But the public? Oh, they were already 10 steps ahead. Outside the courthouse, protest signs lined the streets. Kayla didn't die, she was sold. This wasn't grief, this was greed. One sign showed Brooke's quote, "Pain is branding," next to Kayla's high school graduation photo. The internet wasn't waiting for justice, it was demanding it. And then came the memory card. A tiny piece of tech recovered from Brooke's personal media handler. It held a single video, dated 1 week before the crash. Kayla crying. No filters, no edits, just raw fear. "I'm scared," she whispered. "She's using me for campaigns I don't believe in. I feel like a mascot for someone else's trauma." Her voice cracked. "If anything happens to me, don't let her sell it." The court reporter couldn't finish typing. The judge had to pause. Even the prosecution stopped reading and let the room sit with it. That wasn't just evidence, that was a confession the system never heard when it mattered. Kayla had tried to speak. She'd left breadcrumbs. In journal entries, leaked text, draft blog posts never published. She wasn't silent, she was silenced. Brands moved fast to sever ties. Savage X Fenty, gone. Fashion Nova, gone. Even Brooke's grief platform Sharose, poof, wiped off Shopify. Its domain was replaced by a government seizure notice. But that didn't stop her. Even behind bars, Brooke tried to launch a podcast from jail, Life After Legacy. A courtroom motion shut that down instantly, but the audacity sent shockwaves through the media. Meanwhile, Kayla's voice echoed louder than ever. In the comments, in the protest chants, in every viral clip, she became more than just a victim of a crash. She became the face of a movement, a symbol of how far branding culture can go before it eats its own. But the final blow, that still hadn't landed. Not yet. The judge leaned forward, hands folded, eyes locked on Brooke like he was staring through her. The room was still, breath held like a glass about to crack. Then came the sentence, life in prison, no parole, all brand assets seized, a permanent ban from forming any future company tied to her name or image. He didn't raise his voice. His words didn't land like a gavel. They hit like a tombstone being lowered onto an empire that had finally died. Brooke didn't scream. She didn't plead. She didn't say a word. She stood frozen, like a mannequin caught mid-pose. Then her knees buckled, collapsed on the courtroom floor, designer heels up, one arm stretched out like she was still trying to grab hold of a narrative that had slipped through her fingers. And even as medics rushed in, even as people turned away, even then, witnesses swore she was trying to pose. Outside, chaos, protesters chanting, signs waving like they were slapping the sky. Influence this. She built a brand on a body bag. Reporters flooded the steps, some crying, some just stunned. The internet exploded. Smirkgate trended again, this time with courtroom fall edits layered in slow motion. But what none of them saw coming, a file is dropped online at 6:14 a.m. the next day, titled The Bailey Ledger Part 2. It was a digital bomb. Inside, screenshots of influencers who were paid to post fake tributes. Receipts, Venmo logs, emails from PR reps suggesting captions like, "R.I.P. Kayla, you didn't know me, but your light touched millions." All sponsored by Sharose. One document listed a pitch deck for a memoir Brooke had started outlining 2 weeks after the funeral. Her pages were filled with branding strategies, potential Netflix tie-ins, and a skincare line called Legacy Glow. But it got worse. Photos surfaced from investor meetings held just days after Kayla's death, where Brooke allegedly pitched a lifestyle rebrand around loss. One investor told the press she was selling with highlighters. Emails showed plans for a docu-series, a retreat series, and even a line of inspirational candles shaped like angel wings. There were no words, just outrage. The ripple effects hit fast. Networks froze filming on reality shows across the board. Multiple influencers were dropped overnight. A congressional bill was introduced, the Kayla Bailey Act, designed to protect minors' independence used in influencer monetization. For the first time, lawmakers were looking at curated grief culture as a business model worth regulating. And Brooke? She became the poster child for everything wrong with it. Her name stopped trending with admiration and started trending with warnings. Parents of influencer kids started reevaluating contracts, sponsorships pulled out of family channels, and that question everyone was too scared to ask before finally started echoing loud. How many other Brooke Baileys are out there? Kayla's voice, once buried beneath filters and captions, was now front and center. Clips of her final video were played at rallies, turned into murals, printed on protest tees, not as a gimmick, but as a reminder. Don't let her sell it. Those 6 words turned into a national slogan, a warning against turning pain into product. And as for Brooke, locked in a beige jumpsuit behind prison walls, the silence she once tried to weaponize became the only thing left. No followers, no likes, no brand deals, just the echo of a legacy she tried to sell, one that finally spoke for itself. Justice wasn't just served, it was televised, dissected, archived, and now every click, every view, every shared post carries the same message. You can't build empires on broken hearts. Not anymore.